Hey everybody, Adam Phillips here for Dynamite Entertainment, and we're here today with Shannon Maer, who's the writer and illustrator of the upcoming comic Sirens Gate. And we are real excited to talk to him. But before we get started, please, as always, hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed if you haven't yet, so you don't miss any upcoming content on the Dynamite Entertainment YouTube channel. All right. Anyway, so Shannon, hi, good to see you.
You as well. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Thanks for having me on.
Great. Well, we're super excited about Sirens Gate. Anyone who's a fan of your work on covers is going to be really thrilled when they see the comic because the art, which we're going to show in a little while, some pages, but the art completely captures everything you've been doing on covers. It's amazing, really, that you're doing interior art at that same level. How was the transition from going to like a single image to a page with multiple panels on it?
It was definitely an interesting experience. When I approach covers, I try to get, I guess, everything all in one image. And what I found with doing the multiple panels is I could capture different parts of it to communicate, one story. So I could have multiple angles all
Mhm.
working together. And I started to feel like, a page in the least, if not more, was like one painting to me.
Sure.
And yeah, as soon as I started to feel that, I really started to feel like I had my style and the way I wanted to approach it. That
Mhm.
the interiors was all new to me, so starting page one, it was okay. How do I really want to approach this? How do I want to tackle this? I knew it was going to be a challenge, and it certainly was. And at a given point, it felt like I finally fell into my groove,
Yeah.
and it started to develop a little bit more naturally.
Cool. And I read in your interview that ran in the Diamond Previews catalog that you have been or are an oil painter. Um,
uh
is
yeah.
that how you're approaching this work?
Well, originally I was strictly oil paint, and I
Mm.
moved over to digital,
Gotcha.
and didn't want to lose the aspects, the feel of oil paint. So, like, I approach it very similar. My style, my brushwork, the colors that I use. With oil paint, the challenge used to be how to get a smoother, more refined finish.
Mm.
And switching to digital, it's the challenge became the opposite, trying to get a little bit more of the grit, and the
Uh-huh.
natural nuances of brushwork into it.
Yeah. Well, it's really wild. It's beautiful stuff, and the colors are so vibrant and saturated. I mean, really, and it's great for the settings because of course it's like a bar and a castle and places where you expect like really bright colors and things, so it really works for the scenes that you've set up. So can you tell us a little about the story and who our young hero is?
Well, I'll tell you some of it because a lot of it is supposed to be a mystery, that
Sure.
develops as we go along. So Tara, the lead character, she's an aspiring writer, and this part of it was very important to me. I think it had a lot to do with how I felt as a young artist,
Mhm.
wanting to learn, and any opportunity to get to communicate with some of the great artists that I looked up to. And it was similar for her with the writing, that she has an opportunity to meet with her literary idol. So Lady Rose, she's a professional writer. I guess it would fall into the horror vein.
Yeah.
And Tara is, definitely an enthusiast. And through a series of events, she has the opportunity to go out and meet with her face to face. And that was a big driving force for how I wanted the story to feel and develop.
Yeah, Lady Rose is a really interesting character. I don't want to give anything away either, but there's a lot going on there that is clearly going to have to develop in future issues. with what, what she's up to. When I read the issue, that opening scene, it's like a prologue that we're going to need to find out what the secrets are there too.
Definitely. And, we go back to that. So it's setting a little foundation for those characters to
Uh-huh.
develop as well, kind of, some ongoing mysteries. It's obviously, as people will find out, heavily based in supernatural and characters revolving around that.
Mhm.
I have a cat poking at me here. uh,
Nice.
so occasionally I'll have slight distractions. So it's a
Yeah,
cat.
that's wild.
Hopefully,
That's
hopefully the dogs won't work their way in as well.
fun. Yeah, yeah. And you've done something I've read a lot of comics. I don't think I've ever seen anyone take the approach that you've taken in terms of making the lettering like a integral part of the design of the page. But it's really fascinating, and I love the effort you're putting in there.
Oh, thank you. Well, when I was doing this, I didn't want to feel like I had to mimic anything specific.
Hmm.
Um, and I wanted it to feel natural for me, and I wanted, I guess, to find my voice. And I think I found that on early on, and the word would be cinematic. So for
Yeah.
me, I kept thinking or feeling like it should look cinematic. I guess kind of like you're reading a movie. And
Right.
what I found was when I started doing the lettering, I wasn't even thinking about it. And without thought, I mean, I had done the entire page and I had put everything into the words into the environment. So they worked with,
Right.
the dimension and the perspective of the characters. And it wasn't until I was relatively done with that that I realized what I had done without even thinking. And I was
Yeah.
like, well, I guess that was certainly how I naturally felt, that I wanted to approach it.
Hmm. It's very cool. So,
Thank
yeah, I assume we're, as the issues go on, we're going to meet more characters and, find out more about where we're going here. Do you have more ideas about stories in this setting or with these characters for the future?
Well, definitely currently, like how I'm viewing it as, I'm kind of committing to a certain amount of issues, and I like to think of it as a season.
Oh, okay.
So I want to develop the story. See, the challenge there is there's a lot with the story that I want to develop, but I don't want it to feel too rushed. But I also want to have, adequate, climaxes coming up. So that's why my approach is thinking of it as a season. So like we can get to a certain point in the first season and there will be mysteries revealed. It doesn't have to be everything, but there will be, I guess, a payoff, not an ultimate conclusion,
Right.
right? But kind of feeling like an adequate payoff for the season, if that
Sure.
makes
Yeah,
sense.
that's awesome. We did say in solicitation, we mentioned vampires and werewolves. So I think it's safe we can say that, this is a fun horror, like an urban fantasy kind of a series with creatures and things like that, which is always the kind of thing comics fans like. Are we going to see more monsters as we go forward?
Every manner of supernatural being known and unknown, I guess, is where we're heading. It was difficult to try to simply summarize the genre, right? Because it's not necessarily a vampire book. It's not necessarily a
Sure.
horror book. It kind of walks a fine line with that. I guess it would be those things with a fantasy kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
So it's not supposed to be just terrifying and it's not about war. So I think it kind of has a broader maybe a appeal in general. Hopefully, that's not why I was aiming it that way. but I didn't want it to be limited. I didn't want to go with the blood and the guts.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's just really a certain feel I wanted to have, and I'd say a fantasy feel, maybe in a horror kind of atmosphere.
Yeah, sure. And look, I mean, it's got a lot going on. I mean, it's like you said, horror, fantasy. It's kind of sexy too, which is cool. You know, our hero Tara and some of the other characters. You know, they're appealing on that level as well. So that's always cool. It's coming out October 5th. And if you're watching this video, please stop by your local comic shop. Tell the person behind the counter that you definitely need a copy of it when it comes in. Shannon, thanks so much for your time today. And we look forward to seeing what comes next.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right, great. Thanks. Bye.